Hi, my name is Erinn Leigh, and I'm the Director and Chief Spirit Officer of SUKHA Yoga Austin. And I'm really grateful that you're here today to spend some time getting to know yourself. As we go through this practice, we'll have 3 segments. The first part will be where I share a little bit about the format and how to arrive into your seat, why we'd want to do this, and then we'll go into the formal sitting, and then we'll close with a few moments of silence. So why would we want to come and sit quietly with ourselves when life is so busy and there's so many things going on that the last thing we want to do is sit and just be with ourselves? But I would argue that the most important thing we could do is to sit and learn how to get current with ourselves without the usual internal chatter and dialogue around self-criticism, perfectionism, black and white thinking, any sort of internal judgment. And what meditation has done for me is teach me how to befriend those parts of myself that I imagine no one would applaud for if they really knew what was going on in the space between my ears. And so we get current by settling into our bodies. And instead of trying to turn things off, I actually teach how to go into the body, track where emotions and where energy is being held, and to learn how to dilate around it so that there's a bigger container, almost like we realize that whatever our problems are, whatever's creating tension, stress, anxiety, sleepless nights, we all have it, we learn that there's nothing wrong with us, but to instead create a large enough container for our minds, our hearts, for ourselves, that what might have felt overwhelming, what might have felt like all-consuming, becomes just a small aspect of who we are. So there's a concept in Buddhism called bodhicitta, and it's what I practice cultivating as best I can on a daily basis, and very imperfectly. I'm a mom of 2 young girls. I've got 2 stepsons at home, and I run a business. So there's a lot of humanity mixed in with this sort of spirit speak stuff. So I don't want you to feel any pressure that you have to do this perfectly. Just know that every time you sit in a formal way like we're doing now, that it's training us in resiliency. It's training us to be more comfortable with discomfort, and what that does for us is helps our nervous systems to get more comfortable with being a little bit dysregulated, being a little bit overwhelmed by just everyday ordinary stuff. We learn to, like I said earlier, dilate or regulate ourselves. So life may not change, right? You might still have the same stressful situations arise. You might encounter something more traumatic in your life, like divorce or a job change that was unexpected. Some other sort of financial situation may arise in your life, and you're thinking, how do I walk through this? How can I make it better? And what meditation will teach you is that you don't have to avoid it. You don't have to fix everything, but you can actually learn how to rest in your own center, no matter what's going on around you. So I'm glad you're here. And once again, bodhicitta, the translation that resonates most with me is cultivating an open attitude. And I think that every single person on this planet would prefer to be less bound, less narrow, less rigid, and more spacious, more at ease, more comfortable in their own skin. And so that's what my practice looks like, learning how to be more comfortable in my own skin. So how do we do that? Well, formally, we take a seat, and you're welcome to either grab a cushion or sit on a chair. What we're looking to do is create a stable base with our lower body, and then make somewhat of an anchor point with the sitting bones and the legs. I'm sitting here cross-legged, but if that isn't a good fit for you, you're absolutely welcome to sit on a chair or come into a kneeling position with some cushion and support underneath you. So you can sit like I'm sitting here. And then from this stable base, got a cushion underneath my seat, which helps me to lift my hips above my knees. I want to grow the vertical axis of my spine. So from my tailbone all the way up to my crown, I want to feel long and extended. And we could even think of this metaphorically as building up a backbone, right? Having a really strong back so that you can have a soft, open heart. So strong, stable back, long through the spine, broad through the collarbones, and then allow some quality or energy of softness into the chest and into the belly. I like to place my palms mid-thighs, softly facing down. You can also choose another type of mudra, such as open awareness mudra. Palms are flipped open towards the light above you. And then a third option would be taking Zazen mudra or cosmic awareness mudra. Place your left palm into your lap and then rest your right palm on top. Bring the thumb tip slightly to touch, so you have this little vessel shape or an open bowl for you to rest your attention. And from this place, we'll take 3 slow, unhurried breaths together. We'll inhale through your nose. And a long, slow sigh out through your mouth. For now, we'll keep our eyes open 2 more times. Breathe in. Expand through the chest and the belly. Soften your face, open your mouth, and sigh the breath out. Let's do that one more time. Inhale to your capacity, so fill up your lungs, maximum breath in. Pause at the top, and then synchronize your breath out with closing your eyes. So there's an exhale, 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 and then let your eyes float closed. I'll join you here. You welcome your eyes to close, your belly to soften, and you may notice that there's a lot of energy moving through your body right now. You might start to already notice that your feet are tingling if you're in a cross-legged position, and it's okay to adjust mindfully throughout our practice. Just notice if you have any urges to start to fidget or adjust yourself over and over again, and that may just be an indication that it's time to get still and start that practice of relaxing with what is. So this is the first part of our meditation practice where we get current. And getting current is a really cool thing because it means you don't have to do anything in any particular way, and there's no outcome that we're looking for. All we're doing is taking a good look in, seeing what's there for us today. You might notice that today you're anxious and that you're holding quite a bit of tension in your body, and it's creating some challenges for you to fully relax. The good thing about our practice is we don't have to throw that away in order to have a rich experience here on our cushion this afternoon. So soft eyes, soft belly. And then I want to invite you to start to scan your body, so breathing and moving up your body or down your body, and just noticing any areas that feel cool, any areas that have more heat in them, your palms, the creases of your thighs. You may notice that there's warmth at the chest and warmth underneath your arms and your armpits. Just taking note of what it's like to be in our skin today. At this point, we've done nothing to change our breath, and all we're doing is taking some sweeping attention, almost like a more global perspective of our body. Now, for me, I'm noticing that there's a little bit of tightness in my chest, a little constriction, and I could label it as anxiety. I might be having a little bit of nerves from sharing this on camera with you today. It's a vulnerable place to be, being exposed and sharing my voice with you. And so what I would do as a practitioner when I notice that energy arising is I wouldn't shame myself. I wouldn't judge or think, well, I should just give up now. Instead, I would go in and sense and feel deeply that sensation. I would give it some texture and even remind myself that what's arising is just part of the fabric of being a human being. So continuing to keep your eyes closed and your belly soft. I want to just remind you that being human, and I remind myself this too, being human is being dynamic, being fluid, being in a constant state of shift and change, which means that we're not made of concrete, we're not fixed in space. And so it's very normal to have a variety of energy rushing through you. It's not uncommon to also feel pockets in your body or places in your mind or your emotional state that feels a little distant or numb or unclear. Meditation takes you just as you are. Meditation takes you when you're feeling good and when you're feeling sad, when you're feeling lonely and when you're feeling angry. Meditation just says, I'm here to hold space for you to have a relationship with yourself. We'll move into the breath work. I want you to direct your attention to the space at the front of the chest and the back of the chest. And as you inhale and as you exhale, just imagine the breath moving in a more three-dimensional visual in your mind's eye. So the breath is going to move forward and backwards and side to side. And you can experience the inhalation and then a brief pause at the top of your inhalation. And as you exhale, almost imagine that you're drawing back into the center of your being. At the bottom of your exhale, the invitation is to pause long enough to just reside in what we're calling emptiness, a little bit of emptiness before you inhale again. And we'll take 4 more of these unhurried, even inhales and even exhales. Pausing briefly at the top of your inhale and pausing briefly at the bottom of your exhale. Take your time here, we're not in a rush, and move at your own pace. If you've lost count of the breath, it's okay. A mantra I tell myself a lot of the times is, it's not a problem. So if you need to remind yourself, you get sidetracked, your mind wanders a little bit, you can just simply say, it's not a problem. And it really isn't. You can just bring yourself back and you rest as best you can in whatever is being offered in this moment. Let's take one more breath together. One more inhale. Take your time breathing into capacity. Pause at the top without any forcing, without any urgency. When you're ready, naturally exhale and empty your lungs. Nice slow pace out. Pause at the bottom of your exhale. This part might be a little bit more challenging. Just reside here, and then a natural inhale. All right, direct your breath down into your belly and start to increase the breath depth and circumference. So you start to feel like your whole body is actually getting bigger through the breath. We call this the pranamaya kosha. And the breath body, you visualize that it's moving past your skin or past the flesh of your body and almost creating a bubble around you, a breath bubble. And the more that we can start to link the breath with the physical experience of our body, what happens is our nervous system starts to regulate, which is a really good thing. This is the part where it trains us to be more resilient, to dilate rather than contract and constrict. So bring the two together, your breath, paying attention to what it's like to being in your body. And you may already start to notice that you feel a little calmer, a little more at ease in your skin. And so the nervous system, rather than being in a vigilant state or a hyper-aware state, is starting to relax. And this is where we want to rest our attention. We'll move into our final portion of our practice, where we begin to work directly with the energy of bodhicitta. And once again, bodhicitta simply means cultivating an open attitude. And we can do that in our hearts or in our minds, or both of them if we need a little attitude adjustment mentally or a shift in emotional quality. So just as you are, bring your attention back to the center of the heart. And I want you to imagine that every time you inhale, you're taking up a little more space to hold all the things in your life that feel scary, heavy, tender. And every time you exhale, I want you to imagine that you're connecting with all the other people on this planet who also have felt the same things that you feel and the same things that I feel. So every time you inhale, I want you to breathe in and touch in on anything that you've been anxious about over the last couple of days. Maybe something that's kept you up at night. Maybe you've had a disagreement with your partner recently and you're still carrying around a little bit of that residue. You haven't quite cleared it from your conscious or from your heart. So this is what we want to work with, that direct energy. Not with your partner or not with the disagreement itself, but with the energy that it brought up inside of you or the energy that's still lingering inside. So the next inhale, I want you to focus on where in your body you're feeling any of that residue from a situation or circumstance that left you feeling a little bit shook up. Breathe it in. You can breathe it in and give it some texture, give it maybe even a color. When you breathe it in, just retain it for a brief pause and imagine that it's moving directly into the center of your chest as if the well of bodhicitta or the well of that open attitude is starting to bathe that energy and transform it. Now when you exhale next, I want you to breathe out an opposite energy. Breathe out understanding or forgiveness. Most of the time it's forgiving of ourselves that we need to do first and foremost. So working through an opposite energy that feels peaceful and safe, loving, and genuine. It has to be genuine. I breathe in anxiety and I breathe out ease. I breathe in worry and I breathe out trust. And every breath, I want to also breathe in that I'm not alone. This is the last portion of our practice, that we connect to all other beings who've ever felt the way that we have felt. This can really open up our minds and our hearts to remind us that we're not alone. So let's take these last 3 breaths. And every time you inhale, whatever the emotion was that you worked with or the circumstances that brought it up, I want you to think about every person on this planet who's felt the same way you felt. Because guaranteed you are not alone and you're not the only one who's felt angry, confused, judged, excited, Right? So we want to breathe in all the energy that has arrived to us, and then as we exhale, shift out and exhale an opposite quality. If you're having a hard time thinking up an opposite energy, when you breathe out, you can breathe out, may all beings everywhere be healthy and peaceful and safe and loved. I breathe in worry, anxiety, fear, anger. I breathe out, may I be happy and peaceful and healthy and safe and loved. I breathe it in again. And this last time, I breathe out and I wish for all beings everywhere, including you and including me, for all beings to be happy and safe, to be healthy in their minds, in their spirits, in their emotions. May all beings everywhere be free. Take a few breaths to recenter yourself if you need it. And we can offer a final closing mudra, which is a practice that I use at the end of my meditation. And today we'll offer a mudra called Pushpaputa mudra. And Pushpaputa means a handful of flowers mudra. So we'll take our palms to prayer and then turn the palms open so you have a little bit of a vessel or a cup. And the knife edges of the seams of the fingers will touch, and then the palms will open out. I close my eyes, and when I take this mudra, what I say to myself, and if I'm teaching a class or I'm holding space for other people, I'll share this out loud. May I offer a piece of my heart rather than a piece of my mind. This practice is not necessarily going to be easy every day, but it's absolutely worth your time in cultivating a more loving, kind, and spacious relationship with yourself.